Back to the channel. My name is Lisa Elvin Stoltari, and I am a professional genealogist and a passionate traveler. And I travel, but I travel virtually through time and lots of different places, through France and then back to New France and that sort of thing. In the series that I'm currently doing, the Filles Mariées, these are the marriageable girls between 1634 and 1662, about 28 years. About 262 women came, and these were brave women. These were not paid. They were not, sometimes their passage was paid, but it was absolutely an incredible act of courage to come to a place where, in many respects, it was pretty much a savage land. So I really wanted to take a peek at these women and really begin to tell their stories as well. And with that, we are now on episode number 101, and we are plugging right along. So thank you to all of you for your support of this series. I really appreciate it. I also want to let you know you can support the channel with subscribe, like, and notify. Each time there's a video, if you can like it, that helps get the word. So I appreciate you helping me out in that respect. And if you do want to do any kind of financial donation, I have a PayPal button on my website. We also have Patreon and Coffee, it's called. And I have put information on the notes as well. So thank you to all of you. And let's get on with the show and talk about episode number 101. And now we turn to episode 101 of Les Filles Mariées, Marie Lorgeuil. Let us get to know Marie a little bit better. She comes to us from a viewer request. Marie was born in 1634 in Bordeaux, France. Her parents were Pierre Lorgueil and Marie Bruyère. Now, of course, you know Bordeaux as being the wine capital of the world, really, and it's certainly of France. It is found in the Nouvelle-Aquitaine region of France that we go to many times, but this time the département is Gironde. There are about 260,000 people that live there, so it is actually the 9th largest city in France. The church that she would have been baptized in is called l'Église de Sainte-Croix, the Church of the Saint Cross, and it dates from the 11th century, although the abbey itself is from the 7th century, so it's been around. Now, you know Bordeaux as being a wine, it is the capital, and it hosts, for example, the Vin Expo, which is the world's main wine fair. It's got restaurants galore, and it's business and tourism, and a lot of companies, will host conventions there and all of that. But the actual history of the town is even, I don't know if it's more interesting, but it's certainly amazing. It dates back to around 300 BC when it was a settlement of the Celtic tribe, and it was named Burdigala. Under Roman rule around 60 BC, it became a significant commercial center for both tin and lead. Imagine 60 BC. Despite threats from Viking and Norman incursions and political instability, the city found stability under the Dukes of Aquitaine. So look at that beautiful nighttime picture of the water and the government buildings. Just amazing, beautiful place. Again, got to put it on the bucket list, even though this is not my people. Absolutely want to see Bordeaux because I like wine. That qualifies me to go. And absolutely extraordinary history with this particular place that she is from. So Marie would arrive with the Grande Recrue. The Grande Recrue was a desperate attempt by the governor, Pierre Chevalier de Maisonneuve, to try to save Montreal, because at that point Montreal was fading fast. Quebec City and Trois-Rivières were strong and vibrant, but Montreal was a place where it was not thriving, and they needed a sudden influx of people. So he went to France. He convinced Marguerite Bourgeois, who became the founder of the Notre Dame Congregation, to come aboard, and he paid basically 100 people to come, and Marie was one of those brave souls. So she's on that plaque. That she selected and who selected her. His name was Toussaint Hunault de Deschamps, and he was born in 1625 in a commune called Saint-Pierre-et-Champs in France. His parents were Nicolas Hunault and Marie Benoit. Now, his region of France is called Hauts-de-France, as you can see on the top. It's really at the very northern part of France. And inside of that region, he is part of the Oise département, and you can see it there. There are about 688 people that live there now, and the Church of Saint Pierre dates from, get this, 838. I mean, I I just want to see it, Amazing. One of those rare times, I think there's been one other episode where both the people featured were on the same ship, the Grande Recrue. Did they know each other? Not sure, but it's nice to think about. So yes, Toussaint would also arrive with the Grande Recrue. Toussaint would become a plowman, or he was a plowman, and he would definitely become a landowner. So in November of 1654, they were married. This is a full year after they both arrived. And so it's always unusual. In genealogy, we always look at what is unusual. And it's unusual for them, for any couple, to have waited a year. But given the fact that he had signed a contract, possibly she signed a contract, so there were reasons. And I suspect that they did know each other, and they sort of created some sort of engagement and waited until it was time. Now, Montreal began its existence in 1642 as a missionary center. It was founded by Paul Deschamps de Maisonneuve, and the colony itself, as we've talked about, would not thrive, and that's when the Grande Recrue would happen. Notre Dame congregation, a very, very important part of Montreal's history, was created by Sister Marguerite Bourgeois, we've talked about. And you can see by the picture of the island, you can see that they were not secure. They had no place to hide. So the Iroquois threat was real and prominent and ever present for them, which is one of the reasons they had such a hard time recruiting and keeping colonists. And this picture on the upper right is actually taken from a museum, and I'm giving you the link to it. This is a depiction of what the Montreal fort would have looked like. The Notre Dame Church, where you find in the middle, top middle, and then the bottom is the Notre Dame, a depiction of the church in the early 17th century. And on the upper left, we have the beautiful Vieux Montreal, the old Montreal that you can tour today, which I just toured last August again. And absolutely, every time I'm there, I absolutely fall in love with the city all over again. And of course, this is the beautiful night sky of Montreal, the skyline. And so Montreal really is a very special place. Now, in the 1666 census, we have Toussaint and Marie. They have quite a number of children. They have Thérèse, André, Jeanne, Pierre, Marie, and Martin. In the 1667 census, we have Toussaint and Marie. And then we have Teco, which probably means Thérèse. And then André, Jeanne, Pierre, Marie-Thérèse, Martin. They are 3 beasts, probably 3 cows. And 4 arpents, about 2.5 acres of land. Go on to have 10 children. Thècle dit Thérèse would marry Thomas Chartrand and would have 2 children, one of whom made it to adulthood before her early death at 18. André would marry Marguerite Langlois and would have 2 children, one of whom made it to adulthood. Marguerite's mother, Marie Pontigny, is a fille mariée whom we have not yet profiled. Jeanne would marry André Coibinon and have 7 children, 5 of whom made it to adulthood. She would then marry Jacques Courval and have 1 child, who made it to adulthood. She then married Pierre Taillefort and would have 1 child, who also made it to adulthood. And then we have Pierre, who married Catherine Beauchamp, and would have 10 children, 6 of whom made it to adulthood. We have Marie-Thérèse, who married Guillaume Leclerc, and would have 7 children, 6 of whom made it to adulthood. We have Matrin, who would die at age 7. Françoise would marry first Nicolas Joly and would have 4 children, 3 of whom made it to adulthood. She would then marry Gilles Jean Charpentier and have 12 children. 10 of them survived. Just amazing. She had 16 children in all. Just amazing. Toussaint would pass away at 2 years of age. The next Toussaint would marry Etienne Paquet and have 10 children, 7 of whom made it to adulthood. He then would marry Marie-Françoise Auger and also Elisabeth Baudreau. Neither of these marriages produced any descendants. Charles, we do not have any information. We know that he became a godfather in 1695, but after that, we have no information. In the 1681 census, we find Toussaint and Marie, their children Pierre, Françoise, Toussaint, Charles. They have 4 guns, 4 bêtes-à-cornes, which are like 4 goats or 4-horned animals, and 19 arpents, which equals in terms of acreage a amount that is, let me just see here, 16 acres of land. Two deaths just absolutely rocked this family. On August 17, 1689, Marie-Thérèse, their daughter, who was married to Guillaume Leclerc, was murdered by the Iroquois at her residence in La Chênaie, leaving behind her 7 children, who would go on to found the Leclerc family in North America. Just a tremendous loss. And the following year, almost within a little over a year later, Toussaint Hunault was brutally murdered by a man named Gabriel Dumont de Blagnac, who was a lieutenant in the militia. He was killed. Toussaint was killed by a sword, and his murderer fled, and he was never found or tried in court. The reason for the murder remains a mystery. Toussaint was 65 years old, and he and Marie had been married almost 45 years. Toussaint had left much debt, and when I read the information, I couldn't help but think that the murder was sort of like a hired gun. Nevertheless, the impact of these 2 events so close together cannot be underestimated on how powerful and tragic these events became. You hadn't gotten over one when another, even greater one, occurred. Marie would live on for another decade, passing away at age 66 in 1700. She would leave an unbelievable legacy of 379 descendants as of 1729. Just astonishing. To find out more information about Toussaint and Marie, I would absolutely recommend you trying to find Our French Canadian Ancestor Volume 24. If you cannot find it in your local library, you can also find it online at our Free French Canadian Ancestors Facebook group. If you join the group, they have files and you're able to download those files. So have a look at that if you want to. It's a wonderful little story that is written about Toussaint Marie, so I would heartily recommend that you find it. You absolutely need to, if you want to explore Montreal and understand 17th century, not only Montreal, but the Filles du Roi experience, because whether it was Montreal or Quebec or Three Rivers, it was all part of what they were confronted with. And this amazing book by Susan McNally, you need to read it and really study it. It's one of my favorites. I actually turn to it quite often and kind of study it and kind of get in that groove, you know. So please have a look at that if you want to. I mean, what a story. And there are some stories where I go, no, it's not possible. I think I remember as I was reading, I remember gasping out loud going, no, it's not possible, when I saw the deaths and all of that. So I think she was a remarkable woman. I get the sense from her that she just kept on going and took what she could. She was the kind of woman, I think, that looked at life and said, okay, this is what I got. Let me make the most of it. And I really admire that. I think she was a remarkable lady. And I'm so glad we got a chance to really get to know her and her story. So thank you, Marie. You are a blessing, and we honor your memory, and we are so grateful that you came to our shores and gave of yourself. We will bless your memory. I also want to say thank you to my patrons and supporters and subscribers. You are also a great blessing to me. So thank you so much, and I will see you on episode 102 of Les Filles Mariées. Until then, au revoir.